Tribalism. Oxford Dictionary defines tribalism as the state or fact of being organized in a tribe or tribes. But what's a tribe? Again, Oxford defines a tribe as a social division in a traditional society consisting of families or communities linked by social, economic, religious, or blood ties, with a common culture and dialect, typically having a recognized leader. What does this translate to in not so primitive terms? Today, tribalism, as sad as it is not so uncommon. We see tribalism taking two main forms. One form is ideological tribalism, the other is physical tribalism. Among these, there may be further denominations. Religious, political, and economic tribalism all lie under ideological tribalism. Racial and able tribalism are examples of physical tribalism. Tribalism can lead to everything from mere hatred to extreme violence towards people who are not in your tribe. By this point, you're asking, Tim, what are some examples of tribes? I'm glad you asked, my friend. Tribes can be just about any way you can classify a person. The most common ideological tribes we see today in the States are whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. If you've paid attention to the news cycle this election, these are most certainly the largest and most violent tribes. Chances are you are in one of these tribes. There are also physical tribes that are commonly talked about these days. There are whites and blacks, straights and gays, men and women. A lot of the time today, physical tribes work together. The main divider is the aforementioned ideological tribes. One ideo tribe believes that there is a strong division amongst physical tribes. The other ideo tribe believes in the inverse, that there's not much division amongst these tribes. So what's the truth? Which form of tribalism is more prevalent? Are more people attacked for their physical characteristics, or are they attacked more for their ideological beliefs? Let's take a look at law first. The Equal Pay Act of 1963 made it so that you may not pay employees differently, assuming they're doing the same work for the same length of time, because one is a woman and the other is a man. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 made it illegal for any company or federal establishment to discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. What this means is that a company or publicly funded place may not turn you away just because of your color, what's between your legs, or the god you pray to. It seems pretty cut and dry that there is no government-allowed division amongst physical tribes. As of writing this, there is no study on the rates of personal racism, that is, racism between individuals. Go figure, racists don't want to admit they're racist. Since there is no such study, let's play a game and go by just what's in mass media's headlines. We're gonna go to BuzzFeed, New York Times, Fox, and Daily Wire, 2 from the left wing and 2 from the right wing. We're going to take a look at the first 4 articles that show when you first load up the news tab as of writing this. Obviously this test is terrible to determine physical tribalism, but it still may be worth something, even if just a laugh. Try this test every once in a while, the results could be interesting. So here are the results. Let's take a closer look. Basically all BuzzFeed decided to report on this time was the election, an ideological thing. The New York Times again talked mostly about the election, but they sprinkled in some coronavirus. Fox News had a nicely varied selection. Coronavirus, ideotribalism, some really sad sounding shit, and what the hell? Someone died and came back to life? Excuse me. As you can see, Fox actually reported on an action of ideotribalism. How timely. The Daily Wire had 2 coronaviruses, a guy that died and came back, and a space. I find it quite interesting how the right-wing outlets were covering the heckin' interesting things, that is, the guy dying and the space, while the left-wing outlets are still complaining about an election that the GSA hasn't called yet. This is beside the point. The headlines have actually provided evidence for ideo-tribalism in politics instead of other sorts of physical tribalism. You've probably already came to this conclusion before watching this, or at least while watching this. But yes, the more prevalent form of tribalism is in fact ideo-tribalism, specifically political ideo-tribalism. What are our options that could work to lessen the division? There are a few, and a lot of them are not pretty. Let's start with the fun, dystopian, and scary solutions. Option number 1, Civil War II, Electric Boogaloo. That's right, Boogaloo boys, your dream could come to fruition soon. By delving into a civil war, we could completely obliterate one side. although I doubt it would stay within the states. Other superpowers may want to weigh in, and our civil war will quickly turn into a world war. Since most of the world doesn't have a military that would hold water in war, the only countries I could realistically see joining in for long are Russia, China. Yeah, that's about it. I cannot think of any other nation that even thinks they have a military. I do wonder where the nations of the world would align, though. Which nations would support the Republican Republic, and which ones would support the Democratic states. That's a subject for another time, however. Option number 2, peacefully dividing. Not so exciting, but a definite win for the 90% of Americans that hate California. How we would divide, though, is a problem. Would we divide east to west, south to north? Would we force all of the libs into California? Would every conservative move to Texas? How could we make people move based on their political ideology? As you can see, the solution has a lot of kinks, much more difficult than a civil war. And this wouldn't even solve ideo-tribal division, since we're literally dividing people geographically based on what's in their think hole. Now that's some Orwellian shit. So you don't want to go to war, and you're a Republican that actually likes California. First off, what the hell's wrong with you? But secondly, there is a third option. This option is not fast, nor is it dramatic, nor does it draw massive media attention. This option is to start having open conversations, and to be open-minded about who you talk to. Whether you're the bluest AOC filleting person, or the guy that open carries an AR-15 to Walmart and cannot stop talking about Ronald Reagan, you need to talk to one another. Make people see where you're coming from. Be civil, and try to keep your cool. Screaming will not help your side. I know this from English class. Yes, tears will be shed, as people's whole realities are turned upside down. But an echo chamber helps nobody. If you love our country, start talking. Alright, if you like this one, well, you ought to know what to do by now. I'm not here to remind you. Smash that red thing, bro.